Fear. Fear by THICH. Thich Nhat does not merely teach peace, Thich Nhat is peace. Fear, a journey of transformation. Fear to fearlessness, weak to powerful. So today's topic is fearlessness. Most of us experience a life full of wonderful moments and difficult moments. But for many of us, even when we are most joyful, there is fear behind our joy. We fear that this moment will end, that we won't get what we need, that we will lose what we love, or that we will not be safe. Often, our biggest fear is the knowledge that one day our bodies will cease functioning. So, even when we are surrounded by all the conditions for happiness, our joy is not complete. We think that to be happier, we should push away or ignore our fear. We don't feel at ease when we think of the things that scare us, so we deny our fear away. Oh no, I don't want to think about that. We try to ignore our fear, but it is still there. The only way to ease our fear and be truly happy is to acknowledge our fear and look deeply at its source. Instead of trying to escape from our fear, we can invite it up to our awareness and look at it clearly and deeply. We are afraid of things outside of ourselves that we cannot control. We worry about becoming ill, aging, and losing the things we treasure most. We try to hold tight to the things we care about, our positions, our property, our loved ones. But holding tightly does not ease our fear. Eventually, one day we will have to let go all of them. We cannot take them with us. We may think that if we ignore our fears, they will go away. But if we bury worries and anxieties in our consciousness, they continue to affect us and bring us more sorrow. We are very afraid of being powerless, but we have the power to look deeply at our fears, and then fear cannot control us. We can transform our fear. The practice of living fully in the present moment, what we call mindfulness, can give us the courage to face our fears and no longer be pushed and pulled around by them. To be mindful means to look deeply, to touch our true nature of interbeing and recognize that nothing is ever lost. We all experience fear, but if we can look deeply into our fear, we will be able to free ourselves from its grip and touch joy. Fear keeps us focused on the past or worried about the future. If we can acknowledge our fear, we can realize that right now we are okay. Right now, today, we are still alive and our bodies are working marvelously. Our eyes can still see the beautiful sky. Our ears can still hear the voices of our loved ones. The first part of looking at our fear is just inviting it into our awareness without judgment. We just acknowledge gently that it is there. This brings a lot of relief already. Then, once our fear has calmed down, we can embrace it tenderly and look deeply into its roots, its sources. Understanding the origins of our anxieties and fears will help us let go of them. Is our fear coming from something that is happening right now, or is it an old fear? A fear from when we were small that we have kept inside. When we practice inviting all our fears up, we become aware that we are still alive, that we still have many things to treasure and enjoy. If we are not busy pushing down and managing our fear, we can enjoy the sunshine, the fog, the air, and the water. If you can look deeply into your fear and have a clear vision of it, then you really can live a life that is worthwhile. Our greatest fear is that when we die, we will become nothing. To really be free of fear, we must look deeply into the ultimate dimension to see our true nature of no birth and no death. We need to free ourselves from these ideas that we are just our bodies which die, which we understand that we are more than our physical bodies, that we did not come from nothingness and will not disappear into nothingness. We are liberated from fear. The Buddha was a human being and he also knew fear. But because he spent each day practicing mindfulness and looking closely at his fear, when confronted with the unknown, he was able to face it calmly and peacefully. There is a story about a time the Buddha was out walking and Angulimal, a notorious serial killer, came upon him. Angulimal shouted for the Buddha to stop, but the Buddha kept walking slowly and calmly. Angulimal caught up with him and demanded to know why he had not stopped. The Buddha replied, Angulimal, I stopped a long time ago. It is you who have not stopped. He went on to explain, I stopped committing acts that cause suffering to other living beings. All living beings want to live. All fear death. We must nurture a heart of compassion and protect the lives of all beings. Startled Angulimal asked to know more. By the end of the conversation, Angulimal vowed never again to commit violent acts and decided to become a monk. How could the Buddha remain so calm and relaxed when faced with a murderer? This is an extreme example, but each of us faces our fears in one way or another every day. A daily practice of mindfulness can be of enormous help. Beginning with our breath, beginning with awareness, we are able to meet whatever comes our way. Fearlessness is not only possible, it is the ultimate joy. When you touch non-fear, you are free. If I am ever in an aeroplane and the pilot announces that the plane is about to crash, I will practice mindful breathing. If you receive bad news, I hope you will do the same. But don't wait for the critical moment to arrive before you. Start practicing to transform your fear and live mindfully. Nobody can give you fearlessness. Even if the Buddha were sitting right here next to you, he could not give it to you. You have to practice and realize it yourself. If you make a habit of mindfulness practice, when difficulties arise, you will already know what to do.